Run now, a waitress whispered, shattering a billionaire's lavish dinner with his fiancée. Secrets unraveled in the opulent Opal Vault, sparking betrayals that shook an empire. A single warning ignited chaos. Can truth prevail? Where are you watching this epic tale unfold? Hit like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories. Zoe Freeman glided through the Opal Vault's dining room, her white blouse catching the green glow of the interactive glass wall. Plates balanced on her arm, she dodged a waiter's elbow and set a crystal glass before a guest, her eyes fixed on Harold Whitaker. The man who'd framed her father sat at the central table, his black vest crisp, his gold watch glinting. She tapped the hidden mic in her cuff, its faint hum confirming it was live. Harold leaned toward Lucas Hayes, voice low but sharp. Synapse Core is your crown jewel, Lucas. Share it with us, and this deal cements your legacy. Lucas, in a pale blue shirt and gray vest, sipped his water, his jaw tight. I need to review the terms, Harold. It's a big step. Zoe caught the edge in his tone, her pulse quickening. Legacy. The word stung, but she pushed it aside, focusing on Harold's next move. Claire Whitaker, in a red dress that screamed attention, forced a smile, her fingers twisting the napkin in her lap. Lucas, it's about trust, she said, her voice too sweet, like syrup gone sour. Zoe poured wine, close enough to catch Claire's glance. Nervous, almost pleading. Harold's eyes flicked to Zoe, narrowing. Careful, girl. That's a $2,000 bottle. Zoe nodded, her face a mask, but her mind raced. He's testing me. She retreated to the service station, pulling out her phone. Her fingers flew, sending a coded text to Eden Voss. Dig into Whitaker Holdings. Something's off. Eden's reply buzzed seconds later. On it, watch for security cams. Zoe's gaze darted to the ceiling, spotting a lens trained on her. She adjusted her stance, letting her white sleeve block the mic from view. Back at the table, Harold raised his glass. To partnerships, he said, his smile thin. Lucas mirrored the toast, but his eyes scanned the room, landing on Zoe for a split second. She felt the weight of his curiosity, like a spotlight she couldn't afford. Claire's hand grazed Lucas's, but he pulled back, his focus on Harold. What's the rush, Harold? Synapse Core is secure. Why push now? Harold chuckled, a sound like gravel. Security's an illusion, son. Rumors are swirling. Hacks, leaks. We can protect you. Zoe's stomach twisted. Hacks. The lie was bold. A setup. She'd heard whispers of Whitaker's dirty plays, but this was a direct strike. She edged closer, refilling Claire's glass, catching her trembling fingers. Claire's eyes met hers, wide with something like fear. I'll consider it, Lucas said, his voice steady but cold. Zoe sensed his doubt, a crack she could use. She needed to warn him, but the cameras were a problem. Her phone vibrated. Eden again. Whitaker's got a history of framing partners. Be sharp. Zoe slipped the device into her pocket, her mind mapping the room. The laptop Harold always carried was missing from his bag, likely in the security office. If she could get it, she'd have proof. Claire stood abruptly, her napkin falling. Excuse me, she mumbled, heading for the restroom. Zoe followed, sensing an opening. In the hall, Claire paused, her red dress stark against the dim light. You're too attentive, Claire said, her voice low. Stay away from our table. Zoe held her gaze calm. Just doing my job, ma'am. Claire's lips parted as if to say more, but she turned away, heels clicking. Zoe returned to the dining room, catching Harold's stare. He tapped his phone, likely signaling security. The glass wall flickered red, its sensors picking up the rising tension. Zoe's mic caught Lucas's next words. I'm not signing anything tonight, Harold. Harold's smile tightened. A predator sizing up prey. Zoe knew that look. She'd seen it in boardrooms, in articles about her father's downfall. She moved to clear a plate, her hand brushing Lucas's sleeve. He glanced up, his eyes sharp, searching. Zoe kept her expression neutral, but her heart pounded. She had to get to that laptop before Harold's plan unfolded. The night was young, and the game was on. Zoe Freeman darted through the Opal Vault's kitchen, her white blouse brushing against a steaming pot. She clutched a tray of glasses, using it as a shield to slip past a shouting chef. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Eden Voss's latest message. Cameras are live. Harold's got eyes everywhere. Zoe's eyes flicked to a corner lens, its red light blinking. She pivoted, letting a stack of plates crash to the floor, the noise drowning out her quick steps to a service alcove. In the dining room, Harold Whitaker leaned across the table, his black vest taut. Lucas, rumors about Synapse Core being hacked aren't just talk. Sign with us, and we'll clean it up. Lucas Hayes, his gray vest slightly rumpled, pushed his plate aside. I've got my own team, Harold. If there's a breach, I'll handle it. His voice was calm, but his fingers tapped the table, betraying unease. Claire Whitaker, her red dress catching the dim light, forced a laugh. Lucas, don't be stubborn. Father's offering protection. She reached for his hand, but he shifted, avoiding her touch. Zoe, clearing a nearby table, caught the exchange. Claire's smile faltered, her eyes darting to Harold, who gave a slight nod. Zoe's mic, hidden in her cuff, picked up Claire's shaky breath. She's in deep, Zoe thought, her mind racing to piece together the setup. Zoe slipped back to the kitchen, her phone out. She texted Eden. Harold's pushing a hack narrative. Check his financials for payoffs. Eden's reply was instant. Already on it. He's bribed regulators before. Zoe's jaw tightened. She needed Harold's laptop, likely locked in the security office, to confirm the fake data. But the cameras were a problem. She couldn't risk being seen. In the dining room, Lucas leaned back, his blue shirt creased. Harold, why the urgency? My teams run diagnostics. Synapse Core is clean. Harold's gold watch glinted as he waved a hand. Diagnostics miss things, son. We've got sources, credible ones. Sign tonight, or the market will eat you alive. Zoe, refilling water at a nearby table, caught Lucas's glance. His eyes held a question, like he sensed her watching. Claire stood, her napkin slipping to the floor. I need some air, she said, her voice tight. Zoe followed, keeping her distance, her white blouse blending with the staff's bustle. In the hallway, Claire paused, pulling out her phone. Her fingers trembled as she typed a message. Zoe, pretending to adjust a tray, glimpsed the screen. Security, watch the server in white. Zoe's pulse spiked. Claire was ratting her out. Zoe ducked into the service alcove, her fingers flying to disable the nearest camera. She pressed a button on her phone, sending a glitch code Eden had hacked for her. The lens went dark, but only for a minute. She had to move fast. The security office was down the hall, past the kitchen. If she could get in, the laptop might hold the proof she needed, files framing Synapse Core as a hacked liability. Back at the table, Harold's voice dropped. Lucas, you're young. You don't see the bigger picture. Join us, or you'll regret it. Lucas's fingers stopped tapping. Is that a threat, Harold? His tone was ice, and Zoe, clearing plates, felt a spark of respect. He wasn't folding. Not yet. Claire returned, her red dress stark in the green glow. She sat, avoiding Lucas's gaze. Harold tapped his phone, likely signaling security. Zoe caught the move, her stomach twisting. She needed to act before they locked her out. She slipped into the kitchen, grabbing a spare key card from a staff locker, a trick she'd learned from months undercover. The security office was her next stop, but Claire's message meant time was short. Zoe moved toward the hallway, her white blouse a beacon in the chaos. A security guard appeared, holding a phone with her image. She froze, then spun, blending into a group of waiters. The guard passed, but her heart pounded. Harold's plan was closing in, and Lucas was still at that table, unaware of the trap. Zoe Freeman slipped into the Opal Vault's sagging hallway, her white dress brushing against the wall as she clutched a stolen keycard. The neon lights flickered, casting shadows that danced with her quick steps. She tapped her phone, sending a coded text to Eden Voss. Security's on me. Need a distraction. Eden's reply buzzed. Got it. Shutting down the main cams for 60 seconds. Zoe's heart raced. She had 1 minute to reach the security office. In the dining room, Harold Whitaker's voice cut through the piano's hum. Lucas, the market's ruthless. Synapse Core's hack rumors will tank your stock by morning. Lucas Hayes, his gray vest creased, leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Rumors you're fanning, Harold? My team's found no breach. His tone was sharp, a blade unsheathed. Claire Whitaker, in her red dress, gripped her glass, her knuckles white. "Lucas, please," she said, her voice cracking. "Just listen to Father." Zoe paused at the security office door, the keycard trembling in her hand. The camera above blinked off. Eden's hack had worked. She swiped the card, the lock clicking open. Inside, monitors glowed, showing the dining room. Harold's laptop sat on a desk, its screen dark. Zoe powered it on, her fingers flying to bypass the password with a trick Eden had taught her. The screen lit up, revealing a folder labeled Synapse Leak. Her pulse surged, proof of the fake hack. Back at the table, Lucas pushed his chair back. "I'm not signing anything tonight, Harold." Harold's gold watch glinted as he smirked. "You'll regret that, son." Claire's eyes darted to Lucas, then to Harold, her face pale. "Lucas, wait," she pleaded, standing. Lucas ignored her, heading for the restroom, but his real aim was the hallway. He'd seen Zoe's odd moves, and his gut told him she knew something. Zoe opened the folder, finding files dated for a 9 p.m. release. Fake logs claiming Synapse Core was compromised. She plugged in a USB drive, copying the data. A noise outside made her freeze, an approaching guard. She ducked under the desk, her white dress catching on a chair. The door creaked, but her phone buzzed. Cams back on. Guards closed. Eden's warning was too late. Zoe held her breath, the guard's boots stopping inches away. In the dining room, Claire followed Lucas, her red dress trailing like a warning. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice sharp but shaky. Lucas turned, his blue shirt catching the light. "I need space, Claire. Something's not right here." Claire's hand grabbed his arm. "You're making a mistake," she said, her eyes pleading. Lucas pulled free, his jaw tight, and slipped into the hallway. Zoe crawled from under the desk as the guard turned away, distracted by a radio call. She yanked the USB free, pocketing it, and locked the laptop. The guard's radio crackled. "Check the server in white." Zoe's stomach dropped. Claire's doing. She bolted for the door, her key card granting her escape. In the hallway, she collided with Lucas. "What are you—" he started, but Zoe cut him off. "Whitaker's framing you. Synapse Core's clean, but he's got a fake data set to drop at 9. Lucas's eyes widened, but he didn't flinch. He pressed a button on his watch, activating Silent Vault. "My team's moving the real data now," he said, voice low. "It'll be encrypted and sent to our investors with a 30-minute delay." Zoe nodded, impressed by his quick thinking. "I've got his files," she said, patting her pocket. "We need to move." Claire's heels clicked behind them. "Lucas!" she called, her red dress a blur. Zoe spun, ready to run, but Lucas held his ground. "Claire, what's going on?" he demanded. Claire's face crumpled, torn between loyalty and guilt. "I didn't want this," she whispered, but her phone buzzed. Harold's orders. Zoe grabbed Lucas's arm, pulling him toward the emergency exit. The guard's footsteps echoed closer, his radio crackling with urgency. Zoe pushed open the exit door, the alarm blaring as they slipped into the night. Lucas followed, his watch ticking down the minutes until Silent Vault's email hit. Claire stood frozen, her red dress stark against the hallway's gloom, as the guard charged past her. Zoe Freeman sprinted down the Opal Vault's rear hallway, her white dress snagging on a metal grate as alarms wailed. Lucas Hayes matched her pace, his gray vest flapping, his watch glowing with a countdown. 25 minutes until Silent Vault's email exposed Whitaker's lies. Zoe clutched the USB drive in her pocket, its weight a lifeline, proof of Harold's fake Synapse Core hack. "This way," she hissed, shoving open a door to a dimly lit stairwell. In the dining room, Harold Whitaker stood, his black vest taut, phone pressed to his ear. "Find them," he barked, his gold watch catching the green glow of the glass wall. Claire Whitaker, her red dress creased, hovered near the table, her hands twisting. "Father, what's happening?" she asked, voice brittle. Harold's eyes narrowed. "You let him slip, Claire. Fix this or you're done." She flinched, her phone buzzing with a security alert. Server in white spotted, emergency exit. Zoe and Lucas descended the stairwell, their footsteps echoing. "Why should I trust you?" Lucas asked, his blue shirt damp with sweat. Zoe kept her eyes on the steps. "Whitaker framed my dad, tanked his company. Now he's coming for you. That USB has its fake files. Check it." Lucas nodded, his jaw tight. "If you're right, we're blowing this wide open." He pulled out his phone, texting his team. Verify silent vault. Prep for leak. Claire burst into the hallway, her red dress a stark contrast to the neon lights. She spotted the open stairwell door and hesitated, her heart pounding. "Lucas," she whispered, clutching her phone. She typed a message to security. "They're in the stairwell. Stop them." But her finger hovered over send, guilt clawing at her. Harold's voice echoed in her mind. "You're done." She hit send, tears welling. Zoe reached the bottom of the stairs, a service corridor stretching ahead. She pulled Lucas behind a stack of crates, her white dress catching on rough wood. "Security's close," she said, checking her phone. Eden Voss's message flashed. "Whitaker's paid off regulators. Your USB's gold. Get it to me." Zoe's mind raced. The corridor led to the loading dock, but guards were likely there. She needed a diversion. In the dining room, Harold paced, his phone buzzing with security updates. "They can't get far," he muttered, his voice low but venomous. Guests whispered, sensing the tension, the glass wall flickering red. Claire returned, her face pale. "I've handled it," she lied, avoiding his gaze. Harold grabbed her arm. "You better have. If Lucas leaks anything, we're finished." Claire pulled free, her red dress swaying, her resolve cracking. Zoe peeked around the crates, spotting a guard's shadow. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, her fingers steady. "Ready?" she asked Lucas. He nodded, his watch now at 20 minutes. Zoe smashed the extinguisher against a pipe, foam spraying, the hiss masking their steps. They bolted down the corridor, the guards shouting behind them. Zoe's white dress gleamed in the dim light, a beacon of defiance. Lucas's phone vibrated. His team confirmed Silent Vault was active, with emails queued to investors and media. "We're almost there," he said, his voice firm. Zoe led him to a locked door, swiping her stolen keycard. It buzzed, denying access. "Come on," she muttered, trying again. The guard's footsteps grew louder, his radio crackling. "They're at the dock door." Claire, back in the dining room, sank into her chair, her red dress pooling around her. Her phone lit up with a reply from security. "Suspects cornered." She covered her mouth, stifling a sob. She'd betrayed Lucas, but for what? Harold's approval? Her hands shook as she typed a new message. "Let them go." She deleted it, unable to act, her loyalty torn. Zoe slammed her shoulder against the door, the lock giving way. She and Lucas stumbled onto the loading dock, cool air hitting their faces. The guard charged through the corridor, his flashlight beam slicing the dark. Zoe grabbed Lucas's arm, pulling him behind a dumpster. Her white dress caught the moonlight, and she cursed its brightness. Lucas's watch ticked. 18 minutes left. The USB burned in her pocket, and Eden was waiting. Zoe Freeman crouched behind the dumpster, her white dress scraping against the loading dock's concrete. The guard's flashlight beam swept past, inches from her and Lucas Hayes. Lucas, his gray vest torn, checked his watch. 15 minutes until Silent Vault's email exposed Whitaker's fake Synapse core hack. Zoe gripped the USB drive, its data, proof of Harold's lies, burning in her pocket. "We need to get this to Eden," she whispered, her eyes scanning the dock's shadowed crates. In the Opal Vault's dining room, Harold Whitaker slammed his phone on the table, his black vest straining. "They're at the dock," he growled, his gold watch glinting. Claire Whitaker, her red dress soaked with sweat, stood frozen, her hands trembling. "Father, call off security," she pleaded, voice barely audible. Harold spun, his eyes blazing. "You've already failed me, Claire. Stay out of this." The glass wall pulsed red, mirroring the chaos, as guests whispered and phones buzzed with breaking news. Zoe peeked out, spotting 2 guards near the dock's exit. She pulled a metal rod from a crate, her fingers steady despite the cold. "Follow me," she told Lucas, her white dress a faint glow in the dark. She hurled the rod at a stack of bottles, the crash echoing. The guards spun, running toward the noise. Zoe and Lucas bolted for a side alley, their breaths sharp in the night air. Claire in the dining room clutched her phone, its screen showing a security alert. "Suspects in alley." Her heart pounded. She'd betrayed Lucas. But could she stop this? She typed a message to security. "False alarm. Stand down." Her finger hovered, then hit send. Harold grabbed her wrist, snatching the phone. "What did you do?" he roared, his face inches from hers. Claire yanked free, her red dress tearing at the seam, and ran for the exit. Zoe and Lucas ducked behind a delivery van, the alley's gravel crunching underfoot. Lucas's phone vibrated. His team confirmed Silent Vault's data was secure, with emails now leaking to the media. "We're almost clear," he said, his blue shirt clinging to his chest. Zoe nodded, pulling out her phone to text Eden. "USB ready. Meet at the corner." Eden's reply was instant. "I'm here. Hurry." Zoe's eyes darted to the alley's end, where headlights flashed. Eden's car. Harold stormed into the hallway, his voice booming through a radio stolen from a guard. "Lock the perimeter. They don't leave." His gold watch caught the neon light, a beacon of his fury. Claire, trailing him, tripped in her red dress, her heels snapping. "Father, stop!" she shouted, her voice raw. Harold ignored her, barking orders as guards flooded the dock. Zoe and Lucas sprinted toward Eden's car, but a guard emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. Zoe, her white dress billowing, grabbed a crate lid and swung it, knocking the guard's radio away. "Go!" she yelled, shoving Lucas forward. He hesitated, then ran, his watch ticking. 10 minutes left. Zoe wrestled with the guard, her USB slipping from her pocket. She kicked it under a crate, out of reach, as the guard pinned her arm. Claire reached the dock, her red dress a streak in the chaos. She saw Zoe struggling and froze, guilt crashing over her. "Let her go!" she screamed, lunging at the guard. He stumbled, releasing Zoe, who scrambled to retrieve the USB. Lucas, in the car, waved frantically. Eden, in a white shirt, leaned out, shouting, "Zoe, now!" Zoe bolted, USB in hand, diving into the back seat as Eden floored the gas. Harold arrived, his black vest heaving, as the car's taillights vanished. He turned on Claire, his voice venomous. "You're nothing to me now." Claire, her red dress torn, sank to her knees, sobbing as security swarmed. Inside the car, Zoe handed the USB to Eden, her white dress smudged with dirt. Lucas's watch hit 8 minutes, the first Silent Vault emails already breaking online, shredding Whitaker's empire. Zoe Freeman leaned back in Eden Voss's speeding car, her white dress streaked with dirt, the USB drive tight in her fist. Lucas Hayes, his gray vest ripped, stared at his phone as Silent Vault's emails flooded media outlets, exposing Whitaker's fake Synapse core hack. Eden, in a white shirt, gripped the wheel, her platinum hair catching streetlights. "Articles live," she said, voice steady. "Whitaker's done." Zoe nodded, her pulse still racing from the dock escape. In the Opal Vault's dining room, Harold Whitaker stood frozen, his black vest unbuttoned, his old watch dangling. His phone screen blazed with headlines, "Whitaker Holdings in Fraud Scandal." Guests gasped, their forks clinking as the glass wall pulsed gray, reflecting the chaos. Claire Whitaker, her red dress torn at the shoulder, clutched the table, her face ashen. "Father, what's happening?" she whispered, though she knew. Her betrayal had failed. Harold spun, his voice a low growl. "You let them slip, Claire. This is on you." He shoved his phone into his pocket, ignoring the buzz of incoming calls. Claire's eyes welled, but she straightened, her red dress catching the light. "I tried to stop you," she said, voice breaking. "You forced me into this." Harold's hand twitched as if to strike, but he turned away, barking at a waiter. "Get security, now." Zoe in the car handed the USB to Eden. "Everything's there, fake logs, payoffs," she said, her white dress clinging to her skin. Eden plugged it into her laptop, files flashing across the screen. "This ties Whitaker to regulators," Eden said, typing furiously. "It's enough to bury him." Lucas, his blue shirt soaked, checked his watch. 5 minutes until Silent Vault's full leak. "My investors are pulling out," he said, voice firm. Whitaker's stocks crashing. Claire stepped toward the dining room's exit, her heels uneven, her red dress a beacon of regret. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages, security updates, Harold's orders, her own guilt-ridden texts. A notification popped up. Eden's article, detailing Whitaker's fraud, with Zoe's USB data as proof. Claire's breath hitched. She'd handed Harold the fake files, but it wasn't enough to save him, or her. Harold grabbed a guard's radio, his voice booming. "Block the exits! No one leaves!" Guests stood, murmuring, as the glass wall flickered, its sensors overloaded. Claire's phone slipped from her hand, cracking on the floor. She sank into a chair, her red dress pooling, and buried her face in her hands. "I'm sorry, Lucas," she whispered, though he was gone. A guard approached, but she waved him off, her resolve crumbling. In the car, Zoe's phone buzzed. Eden's article was trending, shared by every major outlet. "They're calling it the biggest corporate takedown in years," Eden said, her eyes on the road. Zoe's lips curved, a rare smile. "Good. He deserves it." Lucas leaned forward, his gray vest brushing Zoe's arm. "You risked everything back there," he said, voice low. "Why?" Zoe met his gaze, her white dress glowing under a passing light. "Because no one else would." Harold's radio crackled with a new alert. Police en route. His face paled, the gold watch slipping down his wrist. He turned to Claire, his voice venomous. "You're no daughter of mine." Claire stood, her red dress swaying, and faced him. "I'm done being your pawn," she said, voice steady for the first time. She walked toward the exit, ignoring his shouts, as sirens wailed outside. Zoe, Lucas, and Eden pulled into a side street, the car's engine humming. Eden uploaded the final files, sealing Whitaker's fate. Lucas's phone lit up. His team confirmed Synapse Core was secure, and Quantum Pulse's stock was soaring. "We did it," he said, glancing at Zoe. She nodded, her white dress a quiet symbol of victory, but her eyes were already on her phone, scanning for the next move. Claire reached the dining room's doors as police stormed in, their badges flashing. Harold's arms were yanked behind him, cuffs clicking. He glared at Claire, but she turned away, her red dress catching the gray light of the glass wall. The Opal Vault, once a fortress of wealth, was now a stage for his downfall, and Claire, for the first time, felt the weight lift. Zoe Freeman stepped into the Freeman Hayes Network's office, her white vest sharp against the morning light streaming through glass walls. She scanned a report on her tablet, flagging a company's shady financials, her fingers moving with precision. Lucas Hayes, in a pale blue shirt, leaned against a desk, sipping coffee. "Another target already?" he asked, his voice light but curious. Zoe nodded, her eyes focused, the weight of victory still fresh. Months earlier, Harold Whitaker's empire had crumbled. Handcuffed in the Opal Vault, his black vest wrinkled, he'd been sentenced to 20 years for fraud, his gold watch seized with his assets. Claire Whitaker, her red dress a faded memory, had testified against him, earning immunity but losing everything else. She now worked a quiet office job, her name erased from elite circles. Eden Voss's article, built on Zoe's USB data, had sealed their fate, trending for weeks. Zoe set the tablet down, her white vest catching the sun. The office, once Whitaker Holdings' dark fortress, was now open and bright, its walls lined with screens tracking ethical investments. Freeman Hayes Network, born from Lucas's buyout, was her new battleground. She'd taken the role of chief investigator, rooting out fraud like the kind that had destroyed her father. A new alert pinged, suspicious offshore accounts tied to a tech startup. "This one's slippery," she told Lucas, her voice steady. Lucas crossed his arms, his gray vest gone, replaced by casual confidence. "You're relentless," he said, a half-smile forming. "Good thing we're on the same side." Their partnership had grown since the Opal Vault, forged in shared defiance. Zoe glanced at him, her white vest a quiet nod to that night's chaos, when her dress had glowed under moonlight. Claire, in a dark blue dress, stood outside the office clutching a letter. She'd tracked Zoe down, driven by a need to atone. Her hair, once perfectly styled, hung loose, and her eyes were red from sleepless nights. She stepped inside, her dress catching the light, and cleared her throat. "Zoe," she said, voice low. "I need to talk." Zoe turned, her expression neutral, but Lucas tensed, his coffee cup pausing midair. "I know you don't owe me anything," Claire began, her hands trembling as she held out the letter. "I helped him hurt you, Lucas, everyone, but I'm trying to be better." Her dark blue dress, a stark contrast to her old red gowns, seemed to carry her shame. Zoe took the letter, scanning it. A formal apology with a promise to fund a scholarship for fraud victims. "Why now?" Zoe asked, her voice calm but firm. Claire's eyes dropped. Because I see you two building something real. I want to start over, even if it's small. Lucas stepped forward, his blue shirt crisp. You made your choice, Claire, he said, not unkindly. We've moved on. Claire nodded, tears spilling, and turned to leave, her dark blue dress swaying with each step. Zoe tucked the letter into her desk, unmoved but not cruel. She'd spent years chasing justice, not vengeance, and Claire's words didn't change that. Her phone buzzed. Eden, now a regular collaborator, sent a tip. That startup's CEO is dodging audits. Need backup? Zoe texted back. On it. She looked at Lucas, who raised his coffee in a mock toast. Ready for round two? He asked. They left the office, heading for a nearby cafe to plan. The wooden tables and warm lights felt like a refuge, a far cry from the Opal Vault's cold glow. Zoe, in a white blouse, ordered a latte, her eyes scanning the room. A customer at the next table waved for a waiter, frustrated. Zoe caught the server's eye, gesturing to the man, her small act of kindness unnoticed but deliberate. Lucas leaned back, his coffee steaming. You know, I thought you were one of Whitaker's spies that night, he admitted, his voice low. Zoe laughed, a rare sound. And I thought you'd fold under Harold's pressure. They clinked mugs, their bond unspoken but solid. Zoe's tablet lit up with Eden's new data, and she dove in, already plotting her next move. The cafe's hum faded as Zoe focused, her white blouse bright against the dusk outside. Freeman Hayes' network was just the start, and the world was watching. What a ride at the Opal Vault! Zoe and Lucas's fight for justice shows that truth can topple empires. What did you think of their courage or Claire's redemption attempt? Share your thoughts. We love hearing them. Thanks for joining us in this thrilling tale of betrayal and triumph. Stay tuned for more stories that spark your heart and mind. Until next time.